Right, on the line now is Graeme Hammond, who's the president of the community advocacy group Save Willy Road. Hi, Graeme.
Hi, Jacqui. How are you?
Good. Now, explain what traffic is like on Williamstown Road right now when it comes to, particularly to large trucks.
It's an arterial road, so it's a busy road, and people who buy there know it, know that that's the case. It has a lot of trucks already. It's something like around 2,500 trucks a day. In about 10 years we've been living there, the number of trucks has increased, substantially. But our big concern is that from day one of the Westgate Tunnel opening, and those new truck tolls will apply on the freeway between Millers Road and Williamstown Road, costing truck operators every time they drive through, that tolling point. Many hundreds, possibly thousands of trucks will turn off the freeway and use Geelong Road and then Williamstown Road as a rat run. And that's not our projection. That was contained in the Environment Effect Statement for the Westgate Tunnel project back in 2017. So they've known that all along. So our concern is the truck problem is going to become particularly acute at night and on weekends when overall congestion will be lower. And so we'll have, at night, we have quite a lot of trucks running through there. My guess is they're probably in the hundreds overnight, but this will turn into the thousands. The Westgate Tunnel project was designed to take trucks off local roads. That was their slogan, and it will actually add another 2,000 trucks a day, night and day, to Williamstown Road, a residential road. So we've called for curfews, camera-enforced night and weekend curfews. Last month, in the middle of the month, the Roads Minister, Melissa Horn, who is a local member, she lives locally, announced that she was seeking, quote, urgent advice or urgent modelling from the Department of Transport on how weekend and night curfews could work. And we've heard nothing from her since then. It's just been deathly silent.
We'll ask her. We'll ask for you, Graeme. But I understand. So if you don't want to go through the tunnel and you don't want to go over the Westgate as a large truck, you can go toll free down Williamstown Road. Is that why it will be used?
Yes, it will. A lot of that we think predominantly the toll dodgers, which I can sympathise with them. I understand why they do it, but it's not fair. By Transurban putting in that massive toll, it's a very punitive toll, it will simply force or, just give an incentive for truck operators to dodge them by driving past homes.
How dangerous then is it, Graeme, to have so many, like 5,000 a day on what is essentially, yes, it's a large street or a thoroughfare, but it is still residential.
Yes, it is, but like where I live, the northern end of Williamstown Road, it's a single lane road. It's a 50k street. It's a single lane road with a sharp bend at the top. Just on the weekend again, another sign was flattened. Trucks drive over the centre median, flattened signs, they mount curbs. It's incredibly dangerous. Cyclists ride there. You try and cross the road. These massive trucks, and they're like 30 metres long, 70 tonnes. They should not be on residential streets. And yet the government is standing by doing nothing while their project will be directly responsible for throwing an extra 2,000 trucks a day onto a narrow residential road.
Graeme,
it makes no sense.
How do you think that the government treats people who live in the West?
It just takes us for granted. It's always been a safe Labor area. As Katie Hall, the MP, discovered at the last election, it's anything but, and she clung on to her seat by fingernails. But it's just they just think we're the dumping ground for trucks. We're reasonably close to the port, but projects like an $11 billion Westgate Tunnel project was meant to fix this problem. It's going to make it immeasurably worse. We'll have more trucks than we've ever had before. More trucks than on Francis Street, which is the worst street in the area. It just makes no sense.
Graeme, thank you for that. We will continue to take your calls on this. That's Graeme Hammond. He's from the group Save Willy Road. The problem with this is the toll part of it. I have no problem with the tunnel being tolled. I have a massive problem with the Westgate Bridge being tolled because it was it was tolled, I think, in the 50s. Tony, I'm sure Tony Tardio can tell me in a sec the year, but the Westgate did originally have tolls on it, didn't it, Tony?
Yes, it did.
And then they got rid of them, and now they're putting them back on to pay CityLink for building the tunnel.
Yeah.
And that'll flow back to us because it's on every truck that goes over the bridge.
Yeah, a very good friend of mine has come up with a great idea to get trucks away from the CBD area. And last time I spoke to him, he'd put it to government, and that is to have some inland ports. So basically, you'd use the railway lines, the current railway lines, to take all of the container stuff from the port, and you take it east, north, and west, and then the trucks go there, so they're outside of the city.
Is that kind of like the Epping market? You know how they move the market from Footscray to Epping, and they have the flowers and all that fresh food?
Moving it out to the suburbs, so that way you don't get trucks going to the port and then having to go out from the city area.
Yeah,
and I don't know what's come from that, but
interesting.
He spent a lot of
solutions,
his time
or at least ideas, Tony.
Yeah, well, he's an amazing guy, that chap too. Jacqui, coming up in the news at 4:00. The Weather Bureau says radar data and social media posts provide strong evidence that a tornado tore through the western suburbs. Yesterday, 35 millimetres of rain drenched the city with peak wind gusts of 48 kilometres an hour. 120 calls for help are still outstanding, mostly for trees down and building damage. The federal opposition has called for Labor to dump CFMEU Administrator Mark Irving, claiming he's done little to address alleged corruption in the union. There are calls for an inquiry into Mr Irving's appointment. Shots have been fired at a BMW SUV outside a tobacco shop at Glenroy. A large crime scene has been set up on Bel Air Avenue, where it's believed the shooting happened around midnight. In sport, Cricket Australia is hopeful captain Pat Cummins will be fit for the second Ashes test in Brisbane. The captain has been ruled out for the first test in Perth due to a back injury suffered in July. Jacqui, all the details at 4.
Tony, thank you. Okay, 133 693. Your calls on Williamstown Road. We've got lots of people wanting to have their say about the fact that the Westgate Bridge is going to be tolled basically by the end of the year when they open up the tunnel. And how you feel about that when it comes to large trucks, because they have nowhere to go. And when you're looking at $180 a day for every truck potentially, and you multiply that by, say, 5 to 10,000 trucks, of course companies are going to look for ways to cut costs. And what they will do is exactly why the residents of Williamstown and Footscray and Yarraville are annoyed. They will simply use the free road. What's your view? 133 693. And Martin's also given us a bell on the Williamstown Road issue. Martin, hello.
Oh, hi, Jacqui. How you going?
Good, thanks.
I just wanted to talk about truck pollution. The other big issue with these trucks on Williamstown Road, it's not just like safety, amenity, loss of sleep. Australia has the second oldest truck fleet out of the OECD countries, and these trucks are pumping out dirty, cancer-causing diesel pollution. It's a registered carcinogen with the World Health Organization. And Williamstown Road has a tennis court about 2 metres away from trucks. It has a youth kids skate park. Yarraville West Primary School is there. So having these trucks running past these kid-focused facilities is so bad. We've already got asthma rates here that are double the state average. We have hospital admission rates for children 0 to 16, the highest in the state for respiratory illnesses. So we've already got big problems here. And to keep pushing those trucks, those dirty trucks down here, the government policies to try and get the old trucks off our streets has failed every time.
So, Martin, what do you reckon about the argument that the port was there first? I'm not saying I agree with that, just one of our previous callers brought that up.
I live in Yarraville. My house is 115 years old. There were no trucks 115 years ago. It's like telling someone if they buy an asbestos mine, well, you should just stay there. It was already there. If I move out of my house, somebody else moves in. In other jurisdictions around the world, you could not have those dirty trucks operating at a European port or an American port.
And do you feel that do you feel that the government has let you down with the project of tolling the Westgate and the tunnel, basically meaning that more trucks, not less, will come on the road?
Oh, pumping more trucks down Williamstown Road is crazy. It's going to have the same number of trucks as what Francis Street does, and that's kind of been, that's been ground zero for community opposition against freight trucks using residential streets. So this is, just going to continue.
My view, Martin, and has long been, is that the government doesn't give two hoots about the people in the West because the majority of them vote Labor, so they don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, look, to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of Melbourne doesn't care about the West. I've looked on both sides of the river and I've been over this side for quite some time. And, people kind of think you get what you deserve over here. The port was there, you get what you deserve. Factories are there, you get what you deserve, but we can do it much better. We can follow the examples around the world and have these things happening here, the port here, and have clean trucks as well. allow trucks on residential streets.
Martin, thank you. Martin is the president of the Maribyrnong Truck Action Group. He's called in and we've spoken to him before, and I agree with him on that. Like, I think that we can do things better, and he's right that there's a school there, there's like facilities for people to exercise, and you don't want it to be like Francis Street, which if you ever, I'm sure not all of our listeners would drive down that way, but if you do, I was down there not that long ago actually, and I can't believe, like, I'm surprised that people live there given the amount of trucks on that road. Like, at certain times of the day, it is just banked back for kilometres. And if you do live in the West, what's your view on the double tolls, the Westgate and the Westgate Tunnel?